The Northern Lords sat along their tables and chairs, sitting across from them the man often known as the Southern King, Stannis Baratheon. Along the right sat Lords Manderley, Kerwin, and Glover. On the left sat young Lady Mormont and Lord Howland Reed. Sitting parallel was Tormund Giantsbane, Edmure Tully, and Rosalind Frey. Next to them was Melisandre and Alice Karstark. Standing in the center, looking over the group, was Stannis himself. The room was tense. They had all come to see if it was truly possible to defeat the Boltons and free the North. Stannis, true to himself, would declare that he had come to free the North and bring the Bolton traitors to justice for their crimes, for he was the rightful king of the Seven Kingdoms, and he meant to do his duty to save the realm, starting with the North. It was a good thought, but as for the Northern Lords could see, it was nothing more than a fool's dream. Lord Glover would ask about the amount of men Stannis had brought, feeling discouraged when Stannis claimed he brought only 1,000 men. Lord Kerwin would question the presence of a wildling, to which Stannis would inform that Tormund Giantsbane had agreed to ally his clan to the cause if he was given lands beyond the wall. Lord Manderley would question if another 1,000 or so wildlings would make such a difference, remarking that the Boltons command nearly 6,000. They also had the assistance of the Karstarks and Umbers, adding another 2,000 men, along with a contingent of 800 Frey bannermen that were sent north. Stannis noticed Howland Reed and Lady Mormont stayed silent on the matter. When he questioned their position, Hal insisted that he stay silent until all arguments are spoken, and then he would give his answer. As for Lady Mormont, she had informed Stannis that the North was an independent kingdom, currently in possession of a traitor. If they would kill said traitor, then the North should once again be given back to the people. She had sworn allegiance to the Starks, and recognized no true king but the king in the North, whose name was Stark. Stannis would smirk at the young girl. She was just a child, but showed more balls than any of these Northern Lords. It would be at this moment Sir Davos would arrive with Jon to witness the meeting of the Winter Council. Stannis would introduce him, with many taking notice of Jon. He recognized some of the lords, from his short time with Robb at the Twins. He was the legalized bastard who captured Jaime Lannister, the more important fact being, he was named Robb's heir. His presence with Stannis was very telling, as the lords considered their stance, but was a lone man really enough to change the tide of the room? Davos would then rise again, noticing the room not being convinced to openly rebel. He would speak to the Lords of the North directly, giving a similar speech to them as he did to the Iron Bank. Stannis has come to them in their time of need, as no other lord in Westeros would even bother. He's brought to them the Lord of the Riverlands backing him. He's brought Alice Karstark, the true lady and ruler of the Karstark banners, supporting him. He stands before you with a leader of the Wildlings backing him. He then looks to Melisandre. Whether you believe in the old gods or any other gods, this woman has magic, and she backs him. Even Jon, the rightful heir to Robb Stark's rule, now all legally recognized by Stannis, has sworn allegiance, knowing that in these dark times, the greatest battle commander alive, as of this moment, is Stannis, and if he can defeat an army of 100,000 wildlings with but 1,000 men, then imagine what he can do with the support of the whole North, and their new warden, the White Wolf, Jon White Stark. The argument was very convincing. Many of them were beginning to contemplate, and strongly considered the thought. Jon and Alice will give each other a look, as it was their first true in-person meeting since Robb's declaration of their betrothal. Jon would then stand to speak as well. He would give them all his thanks and respect for coming to this meeting, as he knows the danger and the risk they all took to come. Jon would then inform them that his siblings Arya and Rickon were alive at Castle Black, thanks to Stannis. He was alive, thanks to Stannis. The Night's Watch is still standing, thanks to Stannis. Jon would then press to each of the lords their shared loss from the Wood Wedding, how they killed Robb and Lord Manderley's sons, how Roos's bastard flayed Lord Kerwin's father, or how Mage Mormont gave her life in an attempt to recover Robb's body. He would then look at Howland Reed and comment about the sacrifice they made for their children, and the sacrifices they now must make. Finally, Jon would then inform them that he's come to claim Alice as his betrothed and claim the Karstark banners for their cause. Jon would then mention that with Blackfish still alive and holding Riverrun, the Freys cannot truly aid the Boltons, even with the token force they sent. Jon would then be empathetic towards their fears of another war, but would tell them that war was upon them whether they wished for it or not. Jon would then declare that House White Stark, Karstark, and even the noble remnants of House Stark itself pledged full support to Stannis Baratheon as their king. Edmure will also claim that the houses and army of the Riverlands declare support for Stannis. Lyanna would be the first to answer, standing up and questioning Jon's commitment before finally declaring that if the Starks truly wish this, then House Mormont will answer the call, proclaiming support. Howland Reed would finally stand and speak, talking about how Ned Stark was his closest friend, and if he would see the man Jon had become, he would be quite proud. Howland would then declare that he fought alongside Stannis' brother Robert of the Trident, and would be more than honored to do the same with him now. Lord Manderley, seeing it was finally time, would draw his sword and kneel. He would ask Stannis to forgive him for his doubt, and that his pledges his house to the cause. Seeing all the other lords unite, Lord Corwin and Glover would also kneel in quick succession, pledging themselves. Stannis, smirking, will claim there is nothing to forgive this day, as their pledge of support was all that was needed. Stannis would then finally speak to them of his plans and motives. He would tell them that he's already sent word to the Riverlands and wishes to draw out and split the Boltons and their allies. Either they march out to face them, or lose the north and be surrounded and starved in their castles. Lord Edmure would be sent south, along with men of House Reed, past Moat Cailin, and begin raids on Riverlands, as well as gathering strong supporters. There, they would also join up with the Brotherhood Without Banners, who had already had the people's support within the Riverlands. Lords Mormont, Manderley, Glover, and Corwin were to amass their troops and march upon Last Hearth and siege the settlement. This would either force the Boltons to aid the Umbers or lose their support entirely. When the lords questioned about the Wildling host to aid them, Stannis would claim he made a deal with Mance Rayder and Tormund since the Battle of the Wall. Stannis' ships were already sailing back with roughly 4,000 Wildlings from Hardhome to Carhold as we speak, with around 1,500 of them being warriors. All of this thanks to the support of Alice Karstark, who has agreed to the marriage of Jon and pledged her banners to Stannis to avenge her father and brother's deaths. As for Jon, he, upon gathering the Wildling and Karstark forces, will march upon the Dread Fort. Stannis himself, with his force of 1,000, supplemented by the mountain tribes, along with 100 or so men from each of the dozen or so northern houses, will march from Winterfell itself. They'll either kill Roose Bolton and free the castle, or die trying. If by chance he does fall, it wouldn't matter in the end. The Boltons, with no support from their allies and their army divided, will either starve in their castles or die in the field by overwhelming odds. The Boltons are alone, the Umbers too few, the Freys tied up in the south, the Lannisters never coming to their aid. The Greyjoys were beyond reach. Their control is made only by fear, and as of now, no Northman fears them. The War of the North had begun. The various lords after this meeting began to head their separate ways to gather forces and prepare for in 7 days' time. The Ravens will be sent out across the land and will force the Boltons to retaliate. Alice and Jon would find their chance to speak to one another. The two would comment on the unusual circumstances for their betrothal, and Jon would apologizing, wishing that war wasn't the reason they were to be married. Alice would comment, saying that after seeing him today, she does not regret it, placing a kiss upon his cheek. She was honored to have such a noble man as a husband. Jon would comment that she was truly kind, and that he welcomed the idea of such a beauty to be his wife. She gives him a goodbye as he kissed her hand, promising to see each other in 7 days' time at Carhold. At this time, Stannis and Jon would stand together, seeing all of the parties ride off in various directions. Stannis would thank Jon for his support, and Jon would respond in kind, saying that it was the least he could do for all that Stannis had done for him. Stannis, looking off, would then speak to Jon more personally. He would open that he doesn't have a son, but knowing Jon and seeing what he's done and accomplished, would remark that he does know what it feels like to be a proud father staring at him. Jon would notice the compliment from Stannis, but would answer by the way of things are turning out he might very well have his son soon enough. Stannis would give Jon a curious look, to which Jon would comment that his little brother Rickon and Stannis' daughter Shireen have seemed to be taking quite a liking to one another. Stannis would give a rare chuckle at the thought. No one was around, even Jon was thrown off by the laugh. A man often seen as stern and cold giving a laugh was quite the sight. Stannis would then claim that the last time Stag and Wolf united, dragons died. Now it was time for lions and skinflayers to do the same. The two mounted their horses and headed back to the north, to the wall, with the others and prepare for the war that was to come. Hey guys, so yeah, this is a fun little quick chapter I wanted to bring to you. I am still working on the Jon Snow Part 3. I think I decided to finish it up and just do like one big, like, climactic episode. Shaping it to be pretty long. I'm going through some redrafts right now, as there's some stuff that I couldn't quite pinpoint down how I wanted to fix until now. But yeah, it's good to be back and bringing some fanfics to you guys. And technically this video itself was going to be a part of the story, like the intro, but I decided to just make it like another interlude like I did with Theon. And yeah, I kind of just have like these side chapters in between like the main plots of the story. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and look forward to what's coming up next. I'm your host, JD. You guys be good. See ya.